and welcome to another edition of Synthetic Genetics, creating custom cards for some of our backers. Recently, we had a backer, we're going to call her Delphine, uh, did a pledge. Thank you for that, Delphine, and gave us permission to make a video for her. So I've been trying to take weekends off because honestly, spending like 3 to 6 hours, if not more, on social media every day, man, it can get kind of draining. It's funny. But anyway, so I took the weekend off and I've been trying to think of what we could do specifically for Delphine. She gave us creative freedoms to make her card. And the thing is, I've been thinking a lot about what I know about Delphine. And one thing that comes to mind above all else is that she is a popper. She is a pets over people kind of lady. So we're going to celebrate that with this card today. All right, so let's jump right in. For those of you unfamiliar, I'm be surprised at this point. I'm assuming that anybody who's seeing this video has probably watched the other ones, but we're Synthetic Genetics. And effectively, we are, take a look here. We are in Kickstarter mode to get our game off the ground. We do have our first full series demo coming up this coming Saturday at the Guard Tower West in Columbus, Ohio, off Traby Road. So that should be pretty exciting. All right, let's take a look and see how we're going to get Delphine set up. Now, I'm a big fan of what I did for my last card for Ice Princess. Excuse me. So I think, and then we're going to use some of those same things. Still a little brisk this morning, but if you'll notice, I'm not wearing my normal coverall duds. Got to celebrate with just a sweater and a t-shirt this morning because you know what? It was above freezing when I woke up. Very exciting. These are the good times. All right, so look here. We'll get that lined up a little bit. It's funny. I think, trying to do things on the center line of the card, but unlike Photoshop, Paint doesn't have any cool little markers that give me an indication as to where that line is. So we're just going to go with this. And we're going to switch back to that sweet, sweet Lucida for the rest of it. Oh, Lucida. You did me right in the best way. Pete's over people. All right, let's see here. And honestly, this is a terrible way to start a Monday morning because this might stick with me for the rest of the week because people suck. All right. And now I was not thoughtful enough to look up an image beforehand, but I have a good idea as to what I'd like to do. So we'll see how this works out. Oh my gosh, bear with us. It's an interesting weekend though. Friday leading into this past weekend, we got our first donation from someone we didn't know that was over the $10 mark, so that was fairly exciting. Big fan of that. I sent an email to the individual because I wanted to send them the digital version of everything. Oddly enough, it doesn't seem to be the case that Kickstarter just gives us the information for anybody that backs. So the individual in question, I don't have any of that person's contact info. So unfortunately, we weren't able to immediately send out or within the same 24 hours the printable version of the game as that person's entitled to. But hopefully we'll hear from that person soon. I do love the fact that sometimes I notice it and other times I don't. That when I get deep into concentration, my mouth will just hang open like a fool. Clearly not a straight line, so let's go back and do that. We are not perfect, we are aware, but there are little things that we can definitely focus on to help out with symmetry. All right. All right. Now the thing is about the whole poppers, like pets over people individuals, I feel like everybody knows at least one person that kind of feels that way. And it's not that they're antisocial, it's not that they can't get along with people. They just legitimately prefer the company of pets who just have open, will argue love and adoration over people who can, let's be honest, be a little bit more complicated. I'm not necessarily saying that I back this because between you and I tolerate most pets. Uh, that probably sounds fairly awful, but the thing is I don't do well with the responsibility of having to love something and show it constant affection that isn't my wife. So whenever I have a pet, I'm not a great pet person. I mean, I'll play. We had a dog a while ago that I'd play with on occasion, but when it came to dealing with like the responsibilities of taking care of another creature, we'll say, it just didn't sit well with me. And arguably, some people could say, well, it's because you're lazy or you don't love it enough. And I don't know where I fit in that category. I think mostly it's just the fact that I'm scared of additional responsibility. So, take that for what it's worth. He says as he pulls a cigarette out of his pack. Now, admittedly, I'm much better than I used to be because once upon a time, I just flat out hated people's pets. Hold that thought. I hated people's pets because the people that had the pets didn't take care of them appropriately. That's one side. The other side, ferrets. A friend of mine owned ferrets. Now you see those in the movies and you're like, those things are awesome. You deal with them in real life, they're dicks, they smell terrible, they're vermin. Opinions I probably shouldn't voice, but it is what it is. Now, I initially met Delphine through work and a coworker, and she played D&D with me for a short period of time, and she was, you meet people sometimes, and you get these, I don't want to say necessarily general or vague impressions, but you get this very solid idea from an individual as to who they are, what they might be, and represent, so to speak. And she's just one of the nicest people I've ever met. Like she's always super excited to help out with things. Um, Again, we met through work, and there were a handful of times that our jobs intersected. But when I would reach out to her, she was always super, super, super positive. Maybe it's because she had pets in her life. Like that just made her a happier person. Maybe that's what I've been doing wrong. I should get pets, and maybe they'll make me a much kinder and nicer person, perhaps. We're gonna try some fairly different things that we haven't really done much of before. You know what? That's a mistake we can use. That works fine. Yeah, it's funny. Before I started doing this, I had to rally this morning. Just wasn't kind of feeling it, but man, once you get into it, kind of loves it a little bit. All right, let's see here. Mm, it's easier. Zoom in a little bit for some finer detail. Those extreme lines. Take a look here. All right, so that high quality stuff right there. Click it twice. That's right. There's a theme. Look here. All right. Man, I feel like I definitely should have looked up an image to work with on this one. Do you know what? We're here. Let's do this. Hey, we might be able to pull this off. It might not look terrible. You don't know. Don't judge. We've got a ways to go yet. Not really. That's not a thing. All right, let's see here. As we've talked about, very, very basic imaging, but as long as we're getting the context across, we should be fine. Hmm. I know that that looks like a haunch, but is it enough? So if we go through and we take out this portion, and this portion, I had an idea when I started this. I did not do a great job of getting it set up. All right, so we'll stop there as far as the magnification and zoom in or zoom out. Zoom in or zoom out, hands up or hands down. There's a song. Or twice. One day I'll learn, I promise. Okay, looks like a weird rabbit thing. I don't know if I'm gonna be able to pull off on one here. Copy. I'm trying to make it look like the creature's facing forward, similar to the cat, the dog to be. Now, I happen to know that Delphine owns multiple dogs, and this doesn't look like any of them. So hopefully she doesn't judge us too harshly. Ah, that's not terrible. That's coming along. Oh, ye doubters and naysayers. Not just kidding. This is entirely the voice in my head that tells me I'm terrible at everything. As we've talked about self deprecating remarks, it starts with the core thoughts and values of who we think we are. And let me tell you, we don't think much of ourselves most of the time. But yeah, that worked out pretty well. Actually, we're going to. Excuse me. Ah, maybe I spoke too soon. Entirely possible. Now, it's funny that Delphine had mentioned when I asked what preference she had, if anything, for her custom card. And she basically stated that after a video that I produce for a charity that I am part of every year, she trusted me to make the decision regarding what her picture should be, or her card should be. All right, take a look here. I feel like less is more situation. Also, that dog has some serious junk in the trunk. So let's go back and redo that part, shall we? It's more like a goiter than a butt. All right. Oh, but anyway, so again, I do this charity Extra Life every year. Uh, and she was kind enough to donate, and I made a video for all the people that backed me in that. And she was very entertained, so she chose or decided that she could trust me to come up with something entertaining here. Unfortunately, I'm feeling as though this might potentially be a disappointment. We'll see. Fill the nose in, and I think we might have the majority of what we want to do here. Yeah, that's a puppy, right? All right, let's switch this back to white. So when we not perfect, but definitely a discernible image that makes sense. Why couldn't I get a job making art with paint? It would have been terrible. I would professionally. I'm not even sure what to say to myself right now. All right. Take a look here. So it's funny as I'm typing this in. If you look through the rest of the deck, anybody who's seen this, they're one of the trait cards you can get for uh, in synthetic genetics is one of the amorphous blobs. Is called cute, and its subtag is that it's -2 to humanoids, stupid humans. And my mentality is because oftentimes you'll see in movies, like especially in space exploration situations or alternate dimensions and parallel realities, etc. 9 times out of 10, when someone comes up against a creature that looks like super cute, and they're like, "Oh, it's adorable, and I love it, and I want to snuggle it," and then it has like massively sharp fangs or claws, etc., and they want to kill whoever the character is that went on about how cute they and adorable they are. Galaxy Quest is a prime example. So when I think of this, this is exactly how I imagine that. Like if there was some kind of monstrously or monster that was super cute, this is how poppers are going to die. They're just like, I can't help but snuggle, and then just head eaten, throat torn, whatever. So it's a very visceral situation. But I also love it because I think of like and if you've ever read like Garfield comics as an example, there was a kitten in it called Nermal who was always just considered extremely adorable. And that creature in question, that character as it was made by the illustrator, was it Watterson? I can't remember who did Garfield off the top of my head. But anyways, Normal was never had a bad bone in its body. It was just super cute and lovable and adorable and just liked to get positive attention. But I do love the fact that in other mainstream media, typically super cute creatures are seen as potentially devilish or uh, arguably monstrous. And it's funny because I also think of like Mars Attacks kind of situation, and us eventually dealing with life forms from another planet, but they're all adorable, especially if they have any way of controlling how they present themselves to us as humanity. And they're just watching videos like, well, if it's cute, these guys will let it get away with anything. I mean, as long as it has those aesthetically pleasing, like adorable eyes, cute puppy wag tail kind of stuff. So that's how we're gonna lose humanity. Is really what it comes down to. Is inevitably someone will figure out that we are all susceptible to cute, and that's the end of it. I mean, just imagine like zombies that have heart-shaped bubbles coming out of their head. Like that's the end of humanity as we know it. We're gonna fall victim to that, or at least poppers will, at the very least. All right, so -1 versus cute. They can't help but try to cuddle the things. Um, hmm. Do they get any other benefits, modifiers, or negatives? No. But this also reminds me of when I was in high school. I used to tell my friend Ice Princess that she had kitty ADD. We would have these moments where we'd be hanging out on our porch or just at a park or wherever, And we're in the middle of this very heavy discussion, sometimes heated, other times just impassioned. And just out of nowhere, she would lose all attention and focus to whatever we were talking about because some random cat would walk by. And it was just immediately like, uh huh, uh huh. Kitty! Like, I mean, everybody knows somebody like that. So, yes, this is, I think, Delphine. Fortunately, we've never had that moment because she had puppies that were in her house and they were normal. But I feel very confident that she and I were to hang out outside of the environments that we did previously. If we were having a serious conversation or whatever, someone could be dying, I think, and she's got her hand over their neck trying to stop the blood from pumping out, and then she would look over and be like, "Oh, it's a cat," and just walk away. I saw the way that looked in the camera, so that's how it is. It's like, "Oh my God, everything's falling apart. What are we gonna do? What are we gonna? Oh, cat," and just gone. Like so. I hope everybody appreciates the poppers, pets over people kind of individuals. Um, thank you for watching Synthetic Genetics. Feel free to click the buttons. Check out our Kickstarter. We're also on Twitter and Facebook. Look us up. Have a good one.